I'm just a guy who loves Disney and has way too much time on his hands. If anybody from Disney is watching, please don't sue me. I'm here to rate, review, and describe all of your favorite things from the magical world of Disney. I'm File91e and welcome to my Disney News and Reviews. Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Disney News and Reviews. I'm File91e. Fantastic weather we're having here in Baltimore. It's nice, it's cool, heat hasn't quite hit in yet, but it's going to happen next week, so I'm just enjoying it, enjoying this great weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend. Thank you to all the men and women serving who have served in the military. You guys keeping us safe. I really appreciate what you do. I couldn't do it. I don't think I have the testicular fortitude. For all you younger kids out there, I'll let you look that up on your own time, what that means. But yes, so thank you guys for everything that you do, or have done, that whole deal. Thanks so much. The Where in the Land for last week was Pirates of the Caribbean, walking into Pirates of the Caribbean. You guys got that. I was surprised, considering it was pretty much just a shot of Nathan's back, so that's always good. Yeah, but you guys got that, so good for you. My birthday is actually coming up, so I don't know, I have some time off that week, so I might do something that week, maybe a live show or just a, or whatever. I have some stuff that I'm going to be doing, mainly just kind of sightseeing around the state and all that stuff. I take a bunch of time off for my birthday, like a week or something, because, well, I just like to. But I might not. I might go back into work. I'm not sure. We'll just see what happens with that. But another thing that actually I'm doing, or I'm thinking of doing, next year, I might want to try to hit Walt Disney World again. Not because I'm getting an itch or anything, just because my family was talking about it, and they, had said that they were interested, so I might wind up going with them. I would love to go back with my family, only because I haven't been there with my family in a long time. It's not for my brother, and my friends, but it's a little different going with your family, because I've learned so much since I went, last went with them, and it's been a long time since they've gone, and I would love to get on the Carousel of Progress once again with my grandmother. That'd be a great time there. But so we'll see what happens with that. Nothing's set in stone. This is all completely preliminary, just in the contemplation phase, so who knows what's going on with that. But yeah, so that's what's been going on with me this week. Let's get right to the news. Well, the coolest summer ever 24-hour Disney event was this weekend, and from what I heard, it was a great success once again. Congratulations to all the people who stuck that out and stayed there for 24 hours. You guys are crazy. Many of the Disney sites I've mentioned covered all the festivities, so be sure to check them out. And it's actually interesting because the Star Wars weekends, this is the second week of that, is also happening, so I'm sure the hotels are pretty booked up. Pretty crazy stuff there. My friend John is down there having a great time, getting all kinds of good stuff. So John, be safe down there. Don't get too crazy for the Star Wars weekends. Epcot has introduced a new walking tour called the World Showcase Destinations Uncovered. Okay, let's just Destinations. Get it? Get it? There you go. Which dives deep into the creation of each of the World Showcase pavilions. The tour takes place on both on stage and backstage, giving a glimpse at some of the behind-the-scenes magic. So that's pretty cool. Also, part of the experience is an inclusive lunch as in eating lunch, at a World Showcase restaurant and a cultural demonstration at one of the pavilions. So check out online there, WaltDisneyWorld.com. They have some good stuff there, or when you call them, just ask about it, the Destinations, Epcot, World Showcase Destination sort of thing. Yeah, check that out. Alright, now, I'm going to butcher this name real bad, but who knows, who cares, it's going to be eliminated anyway in a couple days. The Hoi Polley Art Gallery, there you go, Hoi Polley Art Gallery, at the west side of downtown Disney will permanently be closing on May 25th, so just a couple days. Some of the art gallery's artwork will move over to the sister location at Pop Gallery just across from Splitsville on the west side. Moving into the vacated Hoi Polley spot will be the surprisingly successful United World Soccer, which was originally just intended to be a temporary store. They made that just for the soccer, the World Cup. And like Disney wanted to capitalize on that, but hey, it turned out to be a huge success, so that's kind of cool. Soccer's getting kind of bigger here in the United States, and it's huge around the world, so why not have it at Walt Disney World? However, since it's closed, it has been seeking a return to downtown Disney. United World Soccer is currently operating a mobile store near the Cirque du Soleil until the new store is ready, so that's kind of cool there. Got some Disneyland news for you. It's kind of hard to come by Disneyland news, but I can get you some Disneyland news nonetheless. Disneyland has reopened the Matterhorn after extensive refurbishments and upgrades were applied to the attraction. Most noticeably is to the Abominable Snowman. The new ride effects on the ride's rising incline show him roaring at you behind some ice. It's a kind of a projection sort of thing. Really cool stuff. Then, as he did in previous versions, he pops up in different places as you go down the thing. Also different is where there used to be a thing of crystals sort of sitting there. Now appear to be what are crash toboggans from riders who weren't so lucky getting down the slopes right there. Overall, the effects look great, and I hope they stand up to the rigors of the constant use. It looks really fantastic. The roar and all that stuff, and the crashed things just really give the Matterhorns an edge. So really cool stuff. Also upgraded is a new version of the World of Color show in Disney's California Adventure, just in time for the 60th anniversary of Disneyland. It is now hosted by Neil Patrick Harris and shows some new scenes and effects. Check out videos on YouTube if you want to check that out. Inside the Magic has some really good stuff. They have a whole new thing, all the new stuff that's happening. The 60th anniversary opened a whole new door, whole new bag of tricks for Disney, so that's really fun stuff there. So yeah, that's the news for this week. Let's get right to the reviews. Okay, the first thing I want to talk to you about today is this. It's the Walt Disney Treasures Tomorrowland Disney in Space and Beyond set. Ignore this. This happened after it fell off my shelf and it dented it. And this stuff is only aluminum, so it's really not, or tin. It's really not, impact resistant. But this is one of the better sets that I've ever watched, mainly because as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my god. It has a lot of the old Disneyland episodes. And it also has the Epcot presentation in its entirety, which is the whole reason why I got it. I'm a big Epcot fan, and this was just huge to me. So it comes in this tin. I'll tell you all about what's in it. And it's 2 discs. And each of them has a different number of things on here. I have an unboxing on this here earlier, so check that out, Walt Disney Treasures. It comes with this thing here, and what is it? A certificate of authenticity. I destroyed it apparently. Ugh, can't believe I did that. But basically, it takes you through all the different things that it has. Now, I'm just going to take you through the discs. On disc 1, you got Man in Space, which is narrated by Ward Kimball. A lot of these were narrated by Ward Kimball because he had a huge interest in rockets and machines and things like that, stuff that Disney was really into as well. So he said, okay, Ward, you narrate it. You're just as good as anybody. So it basically goes through the history of rockets. Now, the big thing about this is that when these were made, we hadn't been to the moon yet. It was a big thing, but everybody was trying to go to the moon, and all the top researchers and scientists were trying to get us to the moon. And Disney was very into that, very interested in that, and well, getting to the moon was the future. I mean, that was a huge, big feat for men, and obviously, it's going to the moon. It's not like going, to the store. It's going to the moon. But it's just interesting to hear them talk about it as if it might not happen. And I know it happens. We've seen it happen, obviously, and we're on Mars now, which is crazy. But it's just cool to to see them talk about, okay, well, we might go to the moon. Here's what the rockets might look like. Here's what what we're trying to do. And I'm like, you guys, you're wrong. You're wrong. You have no idea. But anyway, it's funny. It's just funny. The next one, again, is all about the moon. It's called Man on the Moon. It's all about the moon, like I said, and it was, again, narrated by Ward Kimball, and they had a bunch of demonstrations by Werner von Braun, who was one of the biggest scientists who knew a lot about space travel, or just great, and it was just cool to see, all the different rockets and how they might go to the moon and land. It's just really fun. Then you got Mars and Beyond, which is basically talks about the possibility of life on other planets, especially Mars. Now these are all Disneyland episodes, and if you don't know what the Disneyland TV show was, Disney back in in the olden days got in order to pay for Disneyland, he did a show where he basically just talked about Disneyland and other things that might inspire, the stuff that you might see at Disneyland. And then whenever it was, like a Tomorrowland section, obviously it was all about space, getting up there, going down, that sort of thing. So Disney being Disney, he never, cut corners. He always brought in the best of the best to produce these, things. And these were hugely successful TV shows. I mean, granted, back in the day, there was like 3 TV shows. And when one of them was Walt Disney, of course you were going to watch it because you knew you were going to get some quality stuff. And also there was the Magical World of Color, when, back when televisions went into color, he was one of the first shows to do that. So everything in color is pretty cool, awesome stuff. Now disc 2 is it's a 1959 short film, Eyes in Outer Space. This one actually is narrated by Paul Frees, who does the ghost voice in the Haunted Mansion. He's done so much work over at Disney. So Paul Frees, he narrated it, and they talk about the weather and how that plays a part to the Earth and everything. Then you got Our Friend the Atom, which talks about the history of the atom. Again, very good stuff. Not my favorites, but they were really good. But then there was the whole reason why I got this set is on disc 2. It's the Epcot. It wasn't a Disneyland episode, but it was rather it was a promotional film from 1967 that where Walt was talking to the Florida legislators, trying to get them, to understand his idea of what Epcot wanted. Now, this was filmed just 2 months prior to his death in 1966, and this was released in 1967. But he got his idea across, enough that they loved it and they wanted to try to do something with it. But unfortunately, when he died, there wasn't anybody kind of who was as a visionary as he was to kind of take over. I mean, because to be honest, in order for Epcot as Walt wanted it, Progress City, man, without him there, it wouldn't be the same, because I'm sure there'd be some mistake that only he would have not overlooked, but everybody else would have, because we're just not as, I wouldn't say, I'm not going to say as smart, but as much of a visionary as he is. He knew what he wanted, and all of the things in his life led up to that. And unfortunately, give him 10 more years. Give him 10 more years. I guarantee he would have had it. He would have created that city, and it still would have been rolling around right now. The future city, this Progress City. But man, life throws some curveballs, doesn't it? Yeah. So that was really cool to watch and really fun. Just a great, great thing. And actually, one of the bonus features on here, aside from some interviews and things, is the Walt and the Sherman Brothers singing "Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow" to the General Electric people, talking of showing them what their what their ride's going to be like at the at the World's Fair, which I highly recommend people Disney kind of go with for the interventions and things like that. I don't know. I just think World's Fairs are kind of cool, and they have different. I just like that idea, but that's just me. Whatever. But yeah, this is one of the, a very great set, and if you can get your hands on it, it's kind of hard, but if you can get your hands on it, whether it be on Amazon or things like that, definitely check it out if you have a friend. Check it out. Really cool. Seeing these old Disneyland episodes and the Epcot thing was really great. I'm a huge Epcot fan and a huge just Disney fan, and just seeing things other than the Little Mermaid or Snow White and all that stuff was really great. These Disneyland episodes are just really cool for me. It's funny just to hear them talk about the moon landing as being something that might not happen, considering now, like I said, we've been there, we're on Mars, and it's just funny. It's funny to me. Yeah. So what am I going to give the Walt Disney Treasures Tomorrowland set? I'm going to give this 4 stars. It's not for everybody. I know a lot of people would probably get bored and they'd yawn and move on from this. I like this kind of stuff, the whole future thing. I really like it. So for me, it'd be like a 5 out of 5. But I know for some people, for other people, it might be a little boring. They might not be as into it as I am, but I'm a huge Disney nerd and space nerd, future nerd, kind of that sort of thing. So I really like that stuff, and it's really cool. Might not be, so it's 4 out of 5, not because of quality, but it just might not be for everybody. Although I do think that you guys should check it out, especially if you're watching a half-an-hour show hosted by a fat guy who just talks and rambles on about stuff in Disney worlds. So you guys might be into that, But if you're just a lay person, you probably switched off and are watching PewDiePie or something like that right now. Possibly. I don't blame you. This is a boring show for people who aren't true, real Disney nerds, that sort of thing. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So, Walt Disney Treasures Tomorrowland, 4 out of 5 stars. Check it out if you can. It's really worth the watch.
And now, a random Disney fact with File91e.
Tomorrowland opened in 1955 along with Disneyland, with the majority of its attractions cut mainly due to budget cuts. It wasn't until 1967 that a complete overhaul happened to the area, with the introduction of such favorites as the Carousel of Progress and the People Mover.
And that was a random Disney fact with File91e.
Alright guys, the next thing I want to talk to you about today is Tomorrowland, the movie. The 2015 movie. Not Tomorrowland from Walt Disney Treasures, but Tomorrowland, the 2015 movie. Directed by Brad Bird. I went and saw it today. I didn't see it yesterday. I didn't get the chance to, but I went and saw it today. Got up, walked to the movie theater. I can do that in my town because there's one right over there, which is nice. And they had it, and I was surprised. Kind of got me a little matinee ticket. Saw John Waters. If you don't know who that is, you're not from Baltimore. It was good. I knew what I was expecting to see when I went in. I had an idea of what I thought I was going to see, and as long as I saw some pretty futuristic stuff and maybe throw in a couple Disney references, I would just be ecstatic, and it immediately would get 3 stars. Everything that it added onto that would generate stars as it went on. So let me kind of talk to you about this without giving too many spoilers, because I do want you to go and see this movie. Again, it was just released, and now this movie is kind of hard to describe because it is an adventure. It's hard to describe what Tomorrowland is. I guess I could say it's an alternate dimension where all of the smartest creative people in the world got together and created this land that was perfect. And it kind of is, when you see it in the movie, you're like, oh my god, this is awesome, why haven't we gotten to here yet? But then the movie tells you why, because, we're so, as people, hell-bent on killing us and ourselves and everything, that it's, it's kind of understandable as to why we haven't really progressed anywhere, because we are too busy destroying ourselves. The whole movie is kind of centered around hope. It is centered around hope, and because there are movies nowadays that are all doom and gloom. I mean, you got this movie San Andreas coming out where literally everything is destroyed and then we must pack up and move on. With this one, it's like, well, what happens if the whole, if all of the, stuff like that didn't happen, if we could prevent it, if, we were kind of forward thinking and moved past that, what if we could harness the future, I guess you could say. So that's kind of what the whole movie is about. It's the whole aspect of hope, and that anybody creative and smart enough and driven enough, that's the main thing, the driven enough, you know, it has true beliefs, can do anything. You know, Walt Disney said, you know, famously said, to paraphrase, I don't quite know it off the top of my head, you can do any idea that you dream up as long as you have the courage to pursue it, which is kind of, you know, is basically the theme of the whole movie. You know, and it's, you know, it's punctuated by some funny stuff and some action and things like that. It's not a total action-y movie. There isn't a whole lot of that in there. It's more of a fantasy. But it's just really hard to really think, like, not a ton happens. You know, like, I think we're spoiled by, like, these, you know, Avengers movies where, like, so much happens. You're just left going, oh my God, everything just happened. This is unreal. So it's weird, kind of, like to go into a movie and just expect that, and really a bunch happens and then not so much happens all at the same time. It's like, where did we get to? Where are we going? There were some choices that were, you know, I didn't quite understand. There were some parts that I didn't quite understand, or I'm like, well, what about this? This was left out in here. This went over here, but this would be better over there. But hey, I'm not the director. The director, Brad Bird, he also did The Incredibles, and he did a great job with this movie. I mean, it was, you know, it's a lot, you know, especially when you're juggling dimensions and dimensions, you know, it's hard to do that, but he did it. But overall, it's a great movie. Now, some might like it, some might not. I am totally, ready for that. So I already had, some people say they didn't like it. Some people loved it. I loved it. There's a lot of really cool Disney Easter eggs in there. They went to the 1965 World's Fair, which was excellent because you got to hear the, Carousel of Progress theme. You saw Small World, which was excellent. There's actually an Easter egg, a little hint. The operator of Small World is Michael Giacchino, who did the music, which is also fantastic in here. There's a bunch of, references to different things and, Pixar and whatnot. So if you can notice them, notice them. If you can't, that's okay. That's okay. Learn about them on the internets. One big thing I was so happy to see is that they included Space Mountain in the background in there. So look in the background when they're in Tomorrowland, you might see Space Mountain, and I was very happy to see that. That was so cool. So Disney nerd of me flipped out. But that's pretty much what Tomorrowland is. I don't want to give too much about the plot because I want you guys to go and see it. George Clooney is in it. There's a bunch of other people, and Hugh Laurie's in it. The two main actress girls, they did a really great job. It was cool. Tim McGraw was in it. He played a scientist, which is like, country guy, scientist, okay, whatever, I'll buy it. But the gist of the story is, the one girl can save the world, save the future, save this Tomorrowland, because inevitably there, if we keep going on this, this way of thinking, the Earth will die or whatever. People need to learn to believe again, and stuff happens, and good stuff happens at the end. Again, I really don't want to talk about the the plot because I do want you to go see it, and it's also very convoluted, and it would take a little bit of time to explain. So I would just rather you guys go and see it. So what am I going to give Tomorrowland, the film? I'll give it 4. I'll give it 4. It's a solid 4. Like, it just crossed over into 4. It could have been a 3.5, but I'll give it a 4 as a general rating. For me personally, it was a 5. I enjoyed seeing it. I teared up a little bit when I saw all the Disney World stuff, the Disney rides and things like that. The 65 World's Fair, Space Mountain in the background. I love the whole message, of hope and just keep trying and dreaming. And the dreamers are the ones that change things. We don't have to keep fighting and destroying ourselves. We can move on and create something that is awesome. But as people, we're kind of stuck with that. So until then, until all that stuff happens, just keep dreaming and keep doing. And I love that message of hope rather than destruction. It was great. And but the reason why I'm giving it 4 is because of the other people. I know I know this movie is going to be for some people and not for others. But you know, I urge you guys to go check it out anyway, because I want you guys to make up your own decisions. I don't want you to blame me. Hey, File91e, I thought this was this. I thought this was that. No, I told you why anyway, so there's that. So yeah, Tomorrowland, the Brad Bird 2015 film, 4 stars. Urge you guys to check it out. It's in theaters now. Awesome stuff. Whew. Well, that was a good show. Good Memorial Day weekend. Got Monday off, so that should be fun. Get a little sleepy time in. Got to put in a new washer dryer because they destroyed themselves. Yep. Water everywhere. Water everywhere. Not a drop to drink. You could drink it, probably die. I'm not going to say anything. Why? Because there's chemicals and stuff that were in it. Bleach, usually, with doing the weights. So that's not fun. Can Shopvacs do that? I'll have to look that up. Anyway, go see Tomorrowland. It's in theaters now. It's a huge thing. It's a very great movie to see. It's a something to watch. Very, you're like, when you leave the theater, you definitely saw something. Again, it might not be for everybody, but at least give it a chance. It's in theaters right now. I think it's also in 3D. I saw it in 2D. So, yeah. Also, if you can, check out the Walt Disney Treasures Tomorrowland series. Really good stuff, especially if you're a big Disney nerd. Excellent little collectible here. So yeah, if you are going to Disney World or Disneyland, be sure to go to allers.net, touringplans.com, www.magic.com for our latest and greatest Disney news, micechat.com for, that's where I get my Disneyland news. Really good site there. Check that out. WaltDisneyWorld.com, Disneyland.com is where I get all my tickets and stuff like that. They have some good up-to-date information as well, so cool stuff. Yeah, so last week you got the Walt, We're in the Land. This week I'll try to stump you a little bit, but you guys will get it. So yeah, I'll be back next week for another Disney news and reviews. And guys, where in the land am I this week? Bye guys. Happy Memorial Day.